This brings the incentive to offer lawlessness. The Ninth Circuit is not an accountable source. You guys took the oath of office to respect the Constitution and respect federal law. Federal law does not deliver the opportunity for unlawful arrivals to obtain employers. Let me tell you something who you guys are defending. You're defending people who came across our country illegally, steal identities, and they
Excuse me, sir. Hello? Yeah, excuse me. I'm going to ask you to make your comments and keep them confined to the bill.
Okay.
We were very clear when we started that immigration is a federal thing, and what we're talking about here is state.
Okay.
And so if you're going to testify in opposition, you've got to make sure that your testimony is within the confines of the bill. We're not going to go all over the
Okay,
world.
well, the bill,
The confines of the bill. Thank you.
the bill delivers incentives for people to come here unlawfully, get a pass. This means that somebody who's coming from the caravans, who has no identity, can get licensing or get some kind of pass. This is unfair to American citizens like myself and my parents who came here lawfully. And by the way, DACA pretty soon, according to the Supreme Court, is soon going to be reported unconstitutional. So this law pretty soon will be void. You guys should be making the time to promote E-Verify laws. And I spoke to the sponsor of the bill. I met her in Carson City. She is not telling me how this massive immigration is a net benefit to our state.
Will you say hello to Cyrus, please?
Excuse me, sir.
American citizens first.
The question is, why should I pay taxes if you guys don't represent me? I feel like this bill and you guys represent more non-citizens than you do American citizens. And how is this fair to the people who did it the right way? What kind of difference is there to become a citizen? This is what you're offering to the American people. And I'm pretty disappointed that this bill was brought into the Senate floor within just a few days before the next hearing. And I think that you guys should be more apparent. And I gotta tell you, this is a global immigration plan, ladies and gentlemen. And many people here are from Make the Road. I can show you they are paid agitators. So please do what you can. Please put American citizens first. Thank you.
Time's up. Thank you so much. Time's up. And let me say this again. Maybe they do things different in other committees, but if we are addressing something that deals with roads, you cannot come here in opposition and talk about the Starship Enterprise. Okay, so let me be clear.
That's not what I did.
Let me be clear, because I don't want anyone to waste their time, and we cannot waste our time. This bill is not about immigration. And for those who have not read, and for those who are underlearned, which is my made-up word, please go back and look and see that most of the immigration comes from Germany and from Canada. Okay? And so we are not attacking any particular ethnicity. This is about jobs. This is not about immigration. If you can't confine your testimony to that, then you just really should not even speak. So the young lady who's at the table now, you're in opposition, so please, and keep in mind, we've got people that are lining up outside because we've got a 4 o'clock hard stop. Okay, thank you.
Hi, yes, my name is Patricia Messenger, Actor Republican Women. I am opposed to this bill. Federal law states that you must have, in order to have a business license, you must have a social security number. So what you're doing is you are deviating from that and saying, well, you can come and go almost to it, but not quite, and get licensed. I have friends who are recipients of just becoming a law-abiding citizen. So I know what it takes to do it. It took one lady a year and a half, but I understand that. I'm also a second-generation Polish immigrant, so I understand what it takes to become a citizen of this great country. All I'm saying is you need to do it the proper way. You are sidestepping the law, and I would like for you to not sidestep the law and stay within the bounds of the federal law. Thank you very much. I am opposed to this. Thank you.
represent federal law. We're talking about state law and employment, so I thank you for your comments.
Do an adequate shout out.
Indivisible.
Planned Parenthood, who else we got? Arriba Las Vegas. For future. Right, beautiful. I just want to make sure.
Currently, there are many professional occupational licensing boards that require applicants to provide social security numbers for the issuance of a license, thereby limiting who may apply and obtain a professional license here in Nevada. And that's demonstrated, and that's why we have to go into every single chapter in order for this bill to work. And so this bill says that we can instead use a personally identifying number such as an ITIN or your social security number in order to apply for those boards. And so your ITIN is a tax processing number issued by the IRS that ensures that people pay taxes. And even if you don't have a social security number, you're able to pay taxes, and you would receive an ITIN. So you would be personally identified through the use of an ITIN in exchange of a social security number for the purpose of applying for a professional or occupational license. This piece of legislation, it covers two different parts of our federal statutes, and I want to make it abundantly clear what exactly this bill does. And so that's why I believe the committee receives an amendment. Is that correct? Okay, so there was an amendment, and the amendment really just cites and makes it clear that nothing in this piece of legislation violates 8 U.S.C. 1324A, and that piece of our federal code is really just used to determine who is eligible to be in this bill. Still is completely in line with our federal statutes and allows for individuals to apply for a professional occupational license regardless of their immigration status, because our professional occupational licensing board is to test competency for a work area. And the purpose of these boards is really not to test whether or not an individual is eligible to work. That's why you have to meet the federal work standards. So I want to make it abundantly clear that that's what we're doing. In fact, we cite that bill in section 1 of this piece of legislation. We cite 8 U.S.C. 1621. And in that U.S. code, it states not only that individuals may have a professional occupational license regardless of their obtaining a social security number, but additionally it makes it abundantly clear that states have the ability to issue professional occupational licenses to individuals that may not obtain a social security number. So I just want to make it abundantly clear that those are all in complete alignment with our federal statutes as well, that this bill does nothing more than eliminate that requirement from our state boards, but it does not change employment requirements that are already mandated by the federal government. As I'm sure members of this committee know, we are required to ensure that our state statutes are in line with our federal codes, and that's exactly what this bill does. If anybody in this room has known somebody that has completed immigration paperwork, you know that the process is long. And sometimes for example, if I'm getting married to an American citizen and I entered this country lawfully and I'm in the process, I'm getting married to them, and I don't yet have my ability to work in this country, I'm applying for my social security number, that process can take months and months and sometimes years. So this bill really allows for individuals in those circumstances to start applying for your license, get your occupational license. So immediately upon receipt of your social security number, you can be a hard-working member of our community and really seek that gainful employment. As I'm sure Professor Kagan and Attorney Salinas can attest to down in Las Vegas, we know that the immigration paperwork can take long periods of time. Additionally, this would allow for individuals that already obtain work authorization cards to get to work. So right now, in many of our professions, including teaching, for example, teaching, we already allow for DACA recipients to become teachers. We don't allow for TPS holders. We don't allow for other forms of work authorization cards to become educators. And so this bill actually would impact a variety of professions and allowing for individuals that are already eligible to work here in this country. The federal government has already said, you are eligible to work. This bill allows for those individuals to seek gainful employment. And so I think when we're thinking about this piece of legislation, we need to recognize that this is really just to make a prosperous community for all of us. It allows individuals to seek gainful employment so that when they do receive their eligibility to be in this country, that they're able to, they're not relying on government assistance, and that they're not in need, they're not constantly living paycheck to paycheck. Instead, it allows them to provide for their families and really contribute to our economy. Additionally, we know that these individuals are they have an ITIN, they're taxpayers. And we know that they're completing background checks when they're receiving it. You know, when I originally presented this piece of legislation, really one of the only oppositions was that some of the licensing boards were concerned that they wouldn't be able to complete a background check. And so I spoke with a variety of offices here in Nevada, with the Central Repository Office, and they were really the ones that conduct those background checks. And they confirmed that we can complete a background check without it, and that's why the fingerprint card was submitted for the record. So if you look at it, there's only certain boxes that are mandatory. Social Security number is not one of them. So if an individual is completing their background check, that's determining whether or not that individual has committed a crime. If they haven't committed the crime, then they can get their license.
This bill is not in violation of 8 U.S.C. 1324A, which specifies what employment is unlawful by federal law. And so it is in compliance with the federal statutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Brooks? Okay. Hold on, just, you wanna hold, can you hold her? Okay, yeah, go on, we'll hold until after you finish.
Sure. Mike Kagan, also from the UNLV Immigration Clinic. As Assemblywoman Torres said, and as Ms. Salinas just said a moment ago, this bill does not legalize anyone to work, and this body could not do that even if it wanted to. This bill simply is about additional barriers that are in front of people being able to work when they are already allowed to by the federal government. I think what I would like to highlight in terms of its impact that I have been able to see over the last year and a half, particularly because we have a DACA renewal program at our clinic. Well, usually students do most of the work. Occasionally, I do one. And then through this process, I've gotten a sense of the cross-section of people who are subject to these kind of barriers and struggle with maintaining their status here, which requires, in the case of DACA, filing a renewal every 2 years at a fee that's quite high. That's as much as many people's 1 month's rent. And these people that I've met include people in the building trades, people who work at restaurants, teachers, social workers, and engineers. I've also had the opportunity at the law school at UNLV to meet with a person at the medical school at Loyola University in Chicago, which was the first in the country to admit DACA students to the medical school, and that class of medical students have now completed medical school and are completing their residencies. These are hardworking people who are doing everything correctly under the law in terms of applying to what the federal government allows them to apply for. And there is no purpose served by additional obstacles to be put in their way to delay them being able to work, especially in fields that we very much need, where we very much need talent in our state. This bill would remove handicaps from our own homegrown talent, and for that reason, I think it'd be a very positive step forward.
Okay. Excuse me, just for a minute. There's someone in the audience that's holding a sign, and that's not allowed in committee meetings. So you have two options. You can put the sign down, or you can exit the room. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt. It's part of the rules, and if you're going to be in any of these committee meetings, especially mine, that is not allowed. So thank you. Whenever we start talking about immigration, is unfortunately there are some who don't read a lot and therefore are not informed properly and would immediately go to south of the border. So let me just be clear that, and I'm looking here at this article, there are more immigrants into the U.S. from Canada and Germany than there are from south of the border. No one has to take my word for it. You can look it up. But that's unfortunate. And so what you're talking about here doesn't just deal with those who are of Latin heritage. It's anyone from Germany, or Canada, or Australia, or any place in Europe.
Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada, the Culinary Union, Make the Road Nevada, the UNLV Immigration Legal Clinic, Mi Familia Vota, American Immigration Lawyers Association, America's Voice, Planned Parenthood, SEIU, Arriba Workers Center, Undocu Network, Children's Advocacy Alliance, ACLU, Catholic Charities of Southern Nevada, Next Gen, Dream Big Nevada, the Asian Community Development Council, America Votes, and For Nevada's Future. But federal law deals with citizenship, state law deals with occupational licensing. You know, my mother was not a citizen for the entire time that she lived in the United States for whatever reasons, and there's no reason why we should be protectionist in that regard. So this is modernizing Nevada, bringing us to be a global competitive economy, and saying we're going to leave all that work permit citizen stuff over to the federal government, let them figure out how to do it whenever it is they decide to do it. But in terms of licensing, we're going to reduce those barriers and basically say, if you've got the skills, baby, we got the jobs for you. And that's what Nevada's all about.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Laura Nowlin, and I'm the Executive Director and co-founder of Nevada Hispanic Business Group. We're a community-based nonprofit organization, 501c3, and we focus on bringing the Hispanic and the non-Hispanic community together.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Senate Committee. My name is Caleb Green, representing UNLV Immigration Clinic in support of AB 275. Foremost, I just want to echo what's already been said. Federal law governs non-citizens that can work in the United States. What it does is it essentially allows us to ensure that the investment that we as Nevadans have invested in these students, many are students that have gone through our high schools, are in our colleges, are my own classmates at UNLV, and they deserve the opportunity. We've invested in them. Many of them are Millennial Scholarship recipients. So it behooves us to ensure that this investment, that they are willing workers, they want to be able to assist us, and they should be able to work here in Nevada.
And I'm speaking in support of AB 275. I'm a proud member of CCEA. I teach on the East Side, and I have for 2 decades. It is typical for immigrant students who do well, work hard in school, get good grades, excel academically, and then they hit a wall at 16. Learning to drive is a rite of passage for young Americans. Learning to drive is when most dreamers learn that America will not open certain doors for them. They do not have access. At 16, the Social Security numbers becomes an identifier. Without a number, no driver's license, and no paid working. Teachers see some kids drop out. Teachers see some kids unable to complete their educational programs, like nursing, teaching. Teachers see some kids frustrated but unable to disclose their immigration status because fear. We also see many kids become valedictorians and salutatorians of their schools, unsure of their future in the only country they know, having grown up in America, still striving for excellence, even under heavy threat. The story is complex for those under a number of the wrong country on their birth certificate. DACA is available for 30,000 Nevada students who are dreamers. It is constantly under threat, but available for now. We have thousands of CCSD teachers and employees with DACA. We need them. I'm hoping that whatever employment our Nevada students seek, they are able to apply and be considered. Opportunity and access. We need access for our young people, access that allows them to work. Thank you, the teacher, Angie.
Committee. For the record, my name is Maria Reyes. I'm the president of Mexico City Federation in Las Vegas, and I'm here to support AB 275. I want to thank Assemblywoman Selena Torres for bringing forward this important bill. When I lived in San Diego, I was able to obtain my cosmetology license that allowed me to have financial stability, and that helped me invest in the future of my family.
Depriving a group of the opportunity to get licensed is even worse. Ultimately, we should be getting rid of government licensing laws so that neither immigrants nor native-born Nevadans have to get government permission in the first place.
Say that by allowing this, we are actually gaining not just the professional, but with our diversity growing in our state, our diverse community, we would be providing 2 for 1. It would be bilingual individuals that would be able to break that language barrier and really get that those services in the proper way. Thank you so much, Maria.